Hi, I'm Ed Alexander, attorney and founder with Alexander Abramson, a business law firm in Orlando, Florida. Question often comes up from successful business owners who are looking, hey, maybe franchising is a good way to expand your business. Now, it's important to recognize that franchising is another method to expand your business, right? It's basically using the franchisee's capital to go ahead and expand and add different locations. Now, when you're doing that, there's a couple of requirements you really need to meet, right? The franchisee typically is coming in and expecting you to have an instantaneous business for them. So you have to have systems in place so that I, as a franchisee who knows nothing about your business, can come in and with a modicum of training, I can be operating that business successfully. So when we look at that, it means, hey, you need to have a really good trademark around the business so that as people see that mark, as they see your logo or whatever it is, they understand what your business is about. They know what they're getting. You need to have those systems I was talking about before and a training method so that I can come in and operate this business that way. And then you need to understand that there's going to be a support component requirement. And so as you're going out there and working with people, rather than working in your location or locations, you're going to actually be as much a manager of the franchisees as anything else. So when I typically talk about franchising, a lot of times business owners say, I don't want a franchise, I want a license, right? So what's the difference between franchising a business and licensing a business? Now, what I tell them is, you don't get to make that decision. You have to decide what the relationship looks like, and then that will tell us what the decision is. So franchising is really three elements, okay? It's a common name. So typically a logo, a trademark, something along those lines. It's the payment by the franchisee or buyer of $500 or more in the first 6 months. And that can be whether it's called a franchise fee or it can be called equipment, it can be called anything, but it's $500 or more. And then finally, the third element is the issue of significant control. So if you want that franchisee to operate their business in a particular way, and typically you do to protect the business that you've built, then what happens is you've tripped all three of those and you've created a franchise. And so by virtue of that, you have to comply with the franchise requirements. So what if you want to do a license? Well, if you want to do a license, you got to take out one of the three. Most of the time, business owners don't want to take out the $500 or more. So you're really left with two of the three. And so that means that, number one, you've got to get rid of the significant control, but that impacts the mark. So most of the time, when people are licensing, they will say, you can practice the way we tell you, you can engage in the business the way we structure it, but you cannot use your mark. You have to use your own mark. Or if we decide that we want to have our own trademark and everybody has to use it, then we have to let them operate the business in a manner in which they want to operate it. Now, the issue with significant control, because most of the time that's the issue that this resolves it, is significant control, is it's not just telling them how to operate the business, it's if they have to depend on you to operate the business. So the good example is where you would be operating the marketing website or the call center, and everybody comes through you who's interested in working with a business, and you're doling them out to the franchisees. That's by definition significant control, and you've tripped that element of the requirement.